Link down below if you want to read the patch notes on your own. Performance and crashes. Initial optimizations to improve overall performance. Updates to improve hitching and potential crashes. Fixed multiple reported crash bugs. Quality of life overview. While we still have a few things that they are working on regarding traits and long-term grinding for those that wish to partake, they wanted to make a few changes in this patch to ensure players had more freedom to experiment. Players should find it much easier to respec, and they should also end up with more scrap overall. They aren't done here by any means, and these are not the larger changes that they've mentioned on Discord and Reddit, but in the short term, they should help to ease the burden of reconfiguring your build and experimenting with different options. Increase the trait cap by 5. Tome of Knowledge now grants scrap and XP when the player has reached the trait cap. Orb of Undoing now has unlimited uses. Players can sell any extras for scrap. Remove the trait requirement for equipping a second archetype. Players may now slot their second archetype as soon as they obtain/convert another engram at Wallace. Remove the scrap cost for converting a mysterious item into an engram, 1,000 to 0. Lowered the luminite cost for converting a mysterious item into an engram, 10 to 5. Slightly increased the scrap gain from breakables. Increased the scrap gain from regular and rare chests. Increased the scrap gain when killing aberrations. Reduce the cost of Bloodroot. Balance archetypes. Explorer archetypes increase the duration of the Explorer's scavenger buff per pickup from 15 to 20 seconds, as well as the duration of Explorer's Gold Digger buffs from 15 to 20. Increase the healing amount of Gold Digger Healing Fountain from 1.5 to 2 hit points per second. The Archon archetype increased the Archon Havoc form Lightning Hands damage from 28 to 56. The Havoc form Blink damage from 100 to 150. Reduced the Havoc form cooldown from 120 to 90 seconds. Challenger archetype adjusted the damage fall off for Challenger's close quarters perk at maximum range. Challenger will always maintain a 10% damage bonus to all damage. Handler archetype increased the Handler's Pack Hunter range from 25 to 40 meters. Increased the base max health of Handler's Very Good Boy Companion. Summoner archetype increased the base max health of Summoner's Hollow and Flyer variants. Weapons switched Aphelion scaling to boss/special damage scaling instead of standard. Increased the fire damage for Shatterstar Savior mod. Reduced the fire rate on Nightfall in standard and Dreadwalker fire modes. Reduced the AoE burst damage of Enigma's overload applications from 40 to 30. Reduced the subsequent tether damage of Enigma primary fire from 75 to 65%. Reduced the magazine capacity of Enigma from 30 to 25. Increased the total reserve capacity of Enigma from 120 to 125. Enemies reduced damage on Nightweaver's grab attacks, wall and lunge. Adjusted the hitbox of Magister's Dulane's tongue attack to better match the visuals. Multiplayer reduced incoming damage in multiplayer from 25% per additional player to 15% per player. Bug fixes, progression, and rewards fixed multiple reported crash bugs and instability issues, a bunch of progression blockers that prevented players from completing the tutorial if a crash happened when interacting with Ford, or when selecting skipping tutorial on the creation screen, or an issue with the plasma cutter preventing the final boss from transitioning into the second phase. Fixed Talratha boss fight locking out the game, as well as Astropath boss fight failing to start if the game was exited during a cutscene. Addressed an issue with the trait points going negative. Addressed an issue with players not receiving trophies in multiplayer. Players who completed Oracle's Quilt will now receive Half Quilt Award, as well as Full Quit reward if they had not previously received it, as well as an issue where scripted deaths from the Bone Harvester, Empress Guards, and Red Prince caused actual deaths and ended hardcore runs. Fixed an issue with weapons not unlocking after a hardcore playthrough. Now that sucks because unfortunately, hardcore awards will not be retroactively awarded for previous completions of hardcore mode. That really, really sucks. Fixed an issue with weapons not unlocking after completing playthroughs at different difficulties. And again, difficulty-based rewards won't be retroactively awarded. Players who listened to all Mudtooth stories but did not receive all of the rewards can visit Mudtooth to receive their rewards. Players who did not receive the Iron cylinder, Gunslinger's engram from listening to all his stories, will now find it in his store, as well as an issue preventing Explorer and Archon armor from appearing on the vendor. Players will need to first convert the appropriate mysterious item into an engram at Wally. Fixed an issue preventing Mudtooth's elixir from appearing in his inventory. After completing the game, players will need to first unlock Explorer Golden Compass at Wallace. Issues along where Clementine would stand in random locations in Ward 13 after the cutscene in Blackened Citadel. Fixed for a trophy when meeting the Flotus and co-op. If co-op player was spectating at the time where the Flotus was met. As well as an issue preventing Revivalist trait from being awarded, should now be rewarded after reviving player 15 times. Fixed an issue with Archon's Havoc form lightning hands. Casting speed now properly ramps up the lightning hand without going infinite, as well as an issue causing the Hunter's Focus not granting the proper weak spot damage bonus, or the Hunter's Shroud granting multiplicative damage bonus, or an issue causing Invader Perk Shark to not apply its damage bonuses, or with Gunslinger's Bullet Storm sound not terminating, or a bug allowing Male Engineer to ignore falling transition when overclocking. Gear and items. They really like to talk about these Ukrainian orphans. Anyways, they're like everywhere. Fixed visual effects alignment for Nebula and Hellfire primary fire, as well as an issue preventing Plasma Cutter from dealing the correct damage typed to certain enemies, or an issue causing Shieldbreaker Mutator to not grant the correct amount of shield. Nightfall mod visual effects terminate correctly now. Fixed an issue allowing the Dreamcatcher to trigger Dreamwave before it was properly earned, or an issue that allowed Crystal Heart from stacking with itself, or an issue causing Ring of Flawed Beauty not granting the proper weak spot damage bonus, or with Anastasia's Inspiration causing infinite damage stacking on Summoner's minions, or preventing some boss and special melee weapons from receiving proper scaling, or preventing God Splitter from triggering "Was this supposed to happen?" trophy, and an issue allowing Severed Hand to be spawned repeatedly. Alright, enemies. Fixed an issue with the Primo Janitor health bar incorrectly tracking and causing players to become stuck, or an issue with Root Knight's Puddle projectile dealing damage on hit, or with Nightweaver projectiles homing in on players incorrectly. Alpha Aberration in the Tower of the Unseen now respawns after player dies and re-enters the Aberration Room area, as well as an issue with Block Ruin Labyrinth enemy sound effects, or where players could defeat the Gwendol, the Unburnt, without taking any damage by standing on the stairs under the wooden bridge. Damn it, I wish I knew about that. Or where killing the Many Faces Corruptor World Boss Golem when it's jumping between platforms would cause it to fall off the world in the Great Bowl. Miscellaneous fixes, multiple locations on final level where players could go out of bounds of the level, or an issue with players not receiving fall damage by holding throwable consumables or melee weapons in throwing position, or collision issues causing players to get trapped along some edges, or an issue when using certain melee weapons, the character's face distorted. Give this video a thumbs down and I'll backhand you so hard your face will distort. Or where the player could be locked out of Postulant's Parlor when application was closed after playing the board game, or an issue where the player was unable to open a door to Sentinel's Keep Winning exiting game while inputting the Seeker's key in Ni Irud, or an issue where players were trapped when attempting to vault through a wall in Cotton's Kiln, or an issue that allowed players to skip Siege fight in Tiller's Rest, or an issue with players falling into gap between the boat and wall in Tiller's Rest. Fixed the floating doors in the Cathedral of Omens, as well as an issue in the Great Halls that allowed repeated XP rewards during Feast Masters event. Multiple scenarios that allow players to transition through walls using interactives have been fixed, as well as issues that cause players to get stuck in throw animation in certain situations, and adjusted the kill volume height in the Custodian Eye Arena. Now that was for the PlayStation version. The PC version down below, 99% is the same shit. I'm not going to read all of that. So, I mean, everything you saw up above also applies to PC. It's just that PC had a couple of little diddly doodads or whatever that were slightly different. Okay? So there you have it. As always, if you liked the video, thumbs up. Didn't like it, thumbs down. I'll bend it in half and twist it. And I'll make sure that your bank account is emptied. And all that money goes to supporting the Ukrainian children that are now orphans. And if you want to subscribe, naturally, that would be great. But if not, I get it. Thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care. Maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.